Okay, so we're back in Tomer Devorah. This is day 25. So we're in chapter 7. We're dealing with the attribute of Tiferet, which is related to Torah. And we're going to finish chapter 7 and just start briefly into chapter 8, which deals with Netzach, Hod, and Yesod. So it says, furthermore, in debating words of Torah, one should accustom himself to have in mind the rectification of the Shekhinah, rectifying and beautifying her for Tiferet. So this refers to deciding the halacha in accordance with truth. This is the meaning of conflict for the sake of heaven. So the conflict between the two opposing powers, Chesed and Devorah, for the sake of heaven. So Tiferet, in deciding the halacha, which is connected with Malchut. In accordance with it, Tiferet, or truth. However, one should distance himself from any controversy that departs from this path, for Tiferet has no desire to have any connection to extraneous matters, even if they involve Torah learning. So if they are for the purpose of besting others, being better than others, the end is Gehenna, God forbid. The only controversy that does not blemish Tiferet is controversy in Torah for the sake of heaven, for all its paths are peace and end in love. Okay, so one who derives personal benefits from words of Torah blemishes this attribute which is holy and withdraws it from holiness and inserts it into the category of mundane matters. So fortunate is the portion of one who toils in Torah to delight the most exalted one. And the most important of all is to purify one's mind by scrutinizing his thoughts and examining himself in the course of debate. So if he finds even a trace of impure thought, he must retract his words and always admit the truth in order that Tiferet, the quality of truth, be found therein. That is the end of chapter 7. So now we're going to hit chapter 8. How a person should accustom himself to the attributes of Netzach, Hod, and Yesod. So, however, it says, regarding the rectifications of Netzach and Hod, some are common to both and others are unique to each one. So now, first, one should help those who study Torah and support them, whether with money or in deeds, providing them with the things they require for their learning, preparing their food, and fulfilling all their desires so that they need not cease their Torah study. And this is something that Hashem does, that we're emulating Hashem, right? So this is something on earth that you do amongst men, but we're learning that because this is something Hashem does for his nation. Okay, so one should also be careful not to disparage their learning, lest they weaken in their toil in Torah. Rather, he should honor and praise their good deeds, so that they will hold steadfast to their service. He should provide them with the books they need for their learning in a house of study. And all similar things which strengthen and support those who toil in Torah are contingent totally on these two attributes. Everyone should contribute according to his ability, however little or much. Ultimately, the more one does to honor the Torah and strengthen it, whether verbally, physically, or financially, arousing people's hearts to Torah and inspiring them to hold steadfast to it, is all connected and rooted in these two Sefirot, for they are called the holders and supporters of Torah. So that is the end of day 5, but I want to continue. Like, if you're local to this channel, if you're local to Ava, Missouri, you're in southern Missouri, or in a decent area around there, because I travel a bit for work. So if you need Torah books to study, my library is open. I have a lot of books, specifically try to have as much source material as possible. There's a lot of stuff that I have on this channel that I've read through, but there's also a lot of stuff that I have that I don't even have, like, obviously that's up. And again, a lot of source material. So if that's something that you want access to, email me. There's email address in the description. If I don't reply because I get tons of emails that hit my inbox from other things, then please just continue to email until I get back with you. But in that same vein, it's not just typical stuff for adults. We have a lot of stuff for children as well. My daughter, she ravenously goes through books, and I have to buy a whole bunch of books for her all the time that are like lots of Jewish tales, lots of maybe even fiction novels, Orthodox Jewish Youth series stuff, and that kind of stuff. So if that is something that you want connected to, I can help you out with that. If you're looking for books and you need help, some advice on something to pick up, ask me, ask people, ask me, that's fine. That's one thing I prefer to do in my life, is to help support people or encourage people to study. Ale madrega, level up. So you're not gonna get anywhere in life if you just sit there and just go through life doing the motions. This new year, maybe take it upon yourself to do something different. Go through certain books, like the Mishnah Torah. You do 3, there's a whole bunch. Let's see, how many? I can't count it from here, but behind me I have a whole set of, covers that right there, that shelf. It's Likutei Moharan and Mishnah Torah. So Mishnah Torah has like a whole bunch of books. But if you go through 3 chapters a day, you can get through this in a year. It's not super difficult. It's difficult if you're trying to do a whole bunch of stuff on video. But there's a lot of stuff that I go through that's off video too. So there's a lot of interesting stuff out there. And if you just, just ask and get some input in your life on what you should, take up. And, people that know you, they can kind of better point you in the right direction and inspire you. The one thing that I personally would advise people is don't try to work through those books that are just like these modern, these are the laws of this topic, or these are, the general modern books. It's better to go back to source material, because that's where you actually get all the cloudy stuff goes away, because there's all kinds of people with opinions today. They have all these opinions, all kinds of opinions. If you go back to the source material, that's what you're really learning, core material. And that's something I recommend. Sometimes it's hard to get into course material. Like it can be difficult to jump into the Talmud, because it's a big investment up front to get a whole bunch of books. You can get yourself a subscription and do the Daf Yomi. The other thing you can do is you can go through Ein Yaakov. Ein Yaakov, even though this book is maybe, depending on if it's used or new, it could be $75 to $100 or a little over $100, where this is all the Agadata in the Talmud, where you're getting a lot of the core material of the teachings without the halakhic debate. So it's a good initial immersion into the Talmud by actually getting what I would consider a lot closer to source material. There's stuff like that. And you have Pirkei Avot. So Pirkei Avot that is a great start for your Musar, but here you go. You have there's a lot of commentaries on that, but this is actually an interesting one. The fathers according to, so this is Avot the Rebbe Natan, which is an ancient commentary on Pirkei Avot. So it's a rabbinic ancient commentary on Pirkei Avot, and it's actually very, very thick, very for the couple chapters of Pirkei Avot, it's very thick. So there's a lot of stuff like that. Like you want source material, not like modern opinionated Judaism books. That's where you're actually gonna do a lot better. But anyway, so we'll continue with this. We're actually getting really close to the end, and I'll probably finish this on Sukkot to do a siyum, so in the Sukkah. But anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching.